the rise of the AI agents. First of all, a great thanks to Abu Dhabi and the Capital of Capital for inviting us. What will be a very exciting session. Let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Dr. Ruth Wandhöfer. I'm running my own consulting business for many years, advising central banks, fintechs, banks, and other technology firms across cyber, fintech innovation, regulation, ex-city banker and ex-regulator as well. And I would love to have my panel introduce themselves. We start with ladies first, please, Jane.
Sure, thank you very much, and thank you to the organizers for inviting me today. I'm Jane Horvath. I'm a partner in the Washington, D.C. office of Gibson Dunn, and I also co-chair the Tech and Innovation Practice Group. And I've spent most of my career in-house and a lot of my career developing AI solutions. AI is actually old. It didn't just start in November 2022. And prior to this, I was Apple's Chief Privacy Officer for 11 years.
Great. Tan.
So hello, I'm Tan Long, one of the founders of QuantCube Technology. It's an AI company specialized in macroeconomics, intelligence, and Gen AI for equity research. And we have been created more than 10 years ago. We are specialized in LLM analytics, last generation of text analytics, as well as satellite data analytics. And I will be very happy to tell you about my passion for all those AI analytics from satellite data to text analytics.
Excellent. Yusuf?
My name is Yusuf. I'm founder and CEO of Popcorn, which is a platform that allows companies build AI agents, train them, monitor them, and then eventually build a team of AI agents into those companies. We've been doing this for the last 3 years. Before that, I built a couple of marketplaces over here on the region.
Excellent. So I just came from a panel on stablecoins, would you believe it? And in fact, AI agents are already executing roughly 90% of stablecoin transactions today in DeFi, of course. And there, the trend is more to bring stablecoins into a mainstream context, particularly as it pertains to regulated stablecoins and allowing for an alternative to fiat. But maybe we just want to explore, first of all, some of those agent-based use cases in terms of the opportunities they bring. Yusuf, do you want to kick us off on that?
Sure. I think we need to, I would say, have a base of what are actually AI agents means, right? So AI agents means, in simple terms, they are virtual employees. They would have a job description, roles, and then you give them access and permissions into doing specific things, similar to when you hire an employee, train them, give them permissions, give them an office space, and then give them a computer to do stuff. This is basically, if you put this perspective, then you unlock every single role. And we are moving from roles that were McKinsey style, which is researching, into an actual executing tasks. So think about it from everywhere, right? So all the way from financials, analysts, into actual sales agents, into support agents, into marketing, and they're going to do better than any human being today.
Excellent. So, Tan, just from your perspective, in terms of how you're deploying the AI agents, because you have a very specific focus around capital markets as well.
Yeah, from Agent AI on our side, it's a really Agent AI for investment purpose, and I will give you directly 2 use cases, basically. One first use case, in fact, one question is where to invest, in which new thematic. And now, to give you an idea, we are able to analyze 600,000 news per day, and it enables to discover what kind of thematics where to invest, what you called unsupervised large language model. And this is the latest state of the art to discover in which thematic where to invest. Because, for example, you got Corona and you invest in Corona bonds. If you do supervised, meaning that you have some human being making some actions, you didn't get the Corona bonds, you didn't get the NFT. But now, using the latest modeling, what you call unsupervised large language model, this is how you can get this kind of thematic in a systematic way. And this is how the Agent AI is going to tell you what is the next thematic where to invest without any human action to have.
Okay, so here we're talking about having virtual employees, so to speak, and we have specialized virtual employees that find you the right point at the right time, so a question of speed and precision. Now, Jane, given your background, would you think that this is all without any challenges, or do we maybe see some risks in outsourcing this to agents?
So, I mean, very, very good question. And when we're looking at AI right now, there is an absence of regulation to a large extent other than in the EU. However, there are existing laws. So when we're looking at things, we need to look at these AI agents to determine what kind of actions are they taking? What is the risk level of the actions which they are taking? And so one of our clients is Abu Dhabi Financial Markets, FISRA, and we have been working with them on their internal use of AI agents. So we had to look at the legal basis for which they wanted to use those agents. And one of the things that's required under existing law is that the humans make the decision. So that is right now becoming sort of the holy grail of AI. Let's put the humans in the middle of all this. And I think that we need to figure out how are we going to put humans in the middle of an AI agent that's processing enormous numbers of records. And the other issue is, right now, I was at a conference at Duke University, and an AI engineer described AI as a teenager who sometimes makes things up. So this is going to be one of the cautionary things that we are going to have to build in. How do we build a governance structure in which we're encouraging these agents to roll out, but at the same time making sure they're not making stuff up? The other issue is alignment, model alignment. So, there are a couple of cautionary tales. There was a developer who was testing an AI agent that was supposed to. He told the AI agent, I want you to go onto Reddit, I want you to create an account, and I want you to help people code. And so that was the alignment of the model. He was just supposed to create an account. So the AI agent got onto Reddit, created an account, and the AI agent realized that everybody was charging for helping people program. So the AI agent set up a paywall. And suddenly, the developer was making money for this tutoring. It was unexpected behavior. So as we are working with agents, I think alignment is going to be particularly important. Next off, we've got to worry about cybersecurity. Prompt injection, model injection data, bad data going in, that's going to be really critically important to build structures around it. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't roll out AI. I mean, it is really critically important that everybody embraces and starts using AI. But you need to use AI in a fit-for-purpose manner. You need to design your products with your whole business with safe to fail. So say you have an AI agent that does get out of alignment and starts doing something, and you have to actually pull the plug on the AI agent. Does your business fail? Can you still operate? These are all the things that, as you're developing things, you should be looking at. And we've been, at my firm, been very privileged to advise a lot of commercial entities, regulators, on these very things. And of course, at my prior job, I worked, rolled my sleeves up and worked with engineers on AI products.
Yeah. This is fascinating. So there are quite a number of considerations, and it seems to me that having rolled out things like large language models already to the broad population, it reminds me a bit of the dot-com era, where people had access to solutions for free. They got hooked on them, and we're starting to see that there are mistakes being made, right? So even if you ingest data and you want a very clear answer, it doesn't always come out the way you would expect it. So I guess maybe a question to Tan Long around how you designed your solution and how you tested it, because once we get into capital decision-making, into forecasting, into satellite information, also really relevant, as you know, for ESG, which you're working on, you need to be able to truly rely on the outputs. So how did you go about following that script that Jane was just laying out, because we have so many practical challenges we see.
So today is the future of finance. So let me share how we see the future of finance, and we have published with Moody's, the credit rating agencies. It was about how AI agent will disrupt capital markets and how it's going to disrupt the investment industry. So having said that, you know, the example of how to invest in new thematic without any, you know, human actions, basically, what's going to happen next? Next is basically this coming year. You know, it's about also how you are going to be able to do some, in a systematic way, some equity research report without human actions too. So, you know, you can get some data for, let's say, retail sales, and, you know, without human actions, you can get mobility data, so you can count, you know, number of people, you know, in stores, you know, etc. And for example, using some satellite data, so you have some AI analytics with satellite data, which is going to tell you can see urban growth, and this is where to invest. I prefer to invest in some part of the world where you have growth, and everything is going to be in either research report, but tomorrow, and if you go to Asia, everything is on the phone directly. And then directly, this is how you are going to do B2B2C applications for capital markets using AI agent, basically. So this is where we see, you know, the future of finance using this AI agent too.
And how do you test the reliability of what you're already producing today in this constant feedback loop to improve the quality?
Absolutely. In fact, when you look at those different types of data, you have two types of data: soft data, which is textual data, or, you know, social media, and hard data. Hard data is like satellite data or telecom data. Telecom data is, you know, everybody has a phone here. We can tell you exactly how many people you have in this room. So this is about the credibility of information. For hard data, you will put much higher credibility on those hard data compared to soft data. Soft data, you have to develop very advanced AI analytics to tell you about the credibility of each information, and this is something that we have work on too.
Okay. Now, in terms of Popcorn AI, you mentioned the initial analogy to the human, right? The AI agent is just another version of an employee. How do you deploy agents in your business model, and how do you, I guess, try to implement slightly stronger safeguards around what these agents do versus arguably the human that doesn't always do what the job spec says, right? I mean, we have challenges on either side, so maybe explore.
Exactly, this is a good point, which is, if we think of a human being, there is also a margin of risk that we are taking, and that also could take your company down, or someone else would sue you because of one of your team. So if we start having that tolerance with the technology or with AI, that I think will keep us moving forward into that direction. And I kind of totally agree that we are on a stage where we need to collaborate with AI. We are not yet on the stage where we could give it on an autopilot, but definitely we are going there. I think what's slowing us down is just the human ego. So human ego means it's more of like, you need to make the AI boss. And that's kind of a human ego where kind of slowing us from going there. Because it's like, we as a human, if the idea comes from your brain, you would think that it's a better idea just because of that. Similar to when you have a boss comes to the room and give an idea, because it's his idea, he thinks it's the best, right? It's like, I think human ego is something that we really need to study in order to figure out how we kind of let those AI agents lead the world. So the way that we do it, again, is we allow those kind of AI agents to being built over the platform, and then we allow other AI agents to monitor. Because the human kind of, even human monitoring, by the way, like we did certain studies, right? So human monitoring over those AI is less efficient, not just from the cost perspective, even from quality perspective. So you need to build a kind of AI agent to monitor the AI agents, similar to how, let's say, call centers running today, right? So you have a first line of agent that's having calls, and then there's another line of agent that's listening to those calls, which is, we call them today quality control. So this is where we are heading. It's just, again, I think human ego is one of the big questions here.
Right. Now, Jane, we had a little conversation over coffee a bit earlier on, right? Because not everything is as green as it may look. There are quite a few teething problems. There's the whole data circular piece around potential regression and model collapse you mentioned. Do you want to maybe give your perspective on what we've just heard?
Yeah, well, I think the other thing that really came to mind right now is, as I mentioned earlier, there are existing laws that are creating some growing pains, particularly in connection with personal information. I mentioned earlier, the human in the loop, automated decision-making laws. They come out of GDPR and most privacy laws throughout the world. But right now, we are waiting for Europe to make a decision on the legal basis for processing personal information for purposes of training AI. And under GDPR, and again, with the Brussels effect, a lot of people are watching to see what happens. The regulators are trying to decide currently whether people whose data is scraped off the web need to have given consent to have their data used for training. If that is the case, you can see a world in which it's going to be really challenging for AI agents to operate in any place where they are actually processing personal information. Because how do you go out and get consent? So that opinion will be coming out on the 23rd of December. And we practitioners are really, really interested to see where that lands for Europe. And again, the agency and this stress point between personal information and the fact of automated decision-making is really creating a tension between the old and the new.
Yeah. I mean, I just had a question coming up to Tan Long regarding quality assurance service levels. If I outsource my, I guess, investment decision information to tools like yours, what is sort of my regress in case everything went completely wrong in an unintentional way? Do I have any kind of recourse to bad decision-making via AI bots?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I completely understand that, because we have developed some algorithms to detect fake news, basically.
Yeah.
Especially what we have been able also is to predict the outcome of political elections. So you can guess how many bots you have, and it's about how to detect those bots. So it's really about how to develop some very advanced algos, to estimate the credibility of the information. And I can even tell you now what's going to be next is also fake pictures. Now it happens, already about how to detect fake pictures compared to a real picture. So it's about how to create this kind of algos for the credibility of news or picture. Also, we got more than 25 years of experience in this field, because in fact I was one of the first ones to create what you call systematic investment strategies. All those automated trading, and you get sometimes a wrong market price, rumors, etc. And in fact, we think that AI agent is a continuity of all those systematic trading, not only on market prices, but now using text analytics and pictures, satellite data, or other, or from drones.
And Youssef, in terms of what you're delivering to the market, what is your sort of feedback improvement process? What happens if things go wrong? Where's the human override?
That's why I always double down in thinking of it as another human agent, right? Which is, if we don't have that tolerance, it just does not make any sense, all right? Because the way that actually the infrastructure being built, which is, I would say, large language models, the margin of mistakes is the same as the margin of a human being. It's just about us understanding that and then build the guard and making sure that even if something goes wrong, it's monitored, right, and then maintained and isolated, and then kind of like you basically retrain the agent into a better job next time. Yeah. So that's how we see it.
Yeah. And I think just one last reflection around regulation. I guess the challenge we're starting to see is that regulation is really slow to follow what's already in the market day to day. We see this accelerating beyond exponential. Europe itself may put itself at a competitive disadvantage potentially because of the AI laws, which we haven't even seen the application of, right? So your question around personal data and how all of that fits in as well is critical. And at the same time, we know that if we don't have the right global principles from a regulatory perspective, we really will create pockets of challenges, and we are all global citizens by now. And if our data is being used in different ways, how do we as individuals have the assurance that our wish is still represented in the execution? And maybe one last point, if all the AI bots are replacing us, there's yet another question around that, right? But fascinating conversation. I think we're coming to the end of our time. Thank you so much for very insightful perspectives, and I do think we're really at the beginning of something very big. Let's maintain the human principle of human override and control to the extent possible, and let's manage our human ego to make AI applicable in the best possible way going forward. So thank you very much.